Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Laura Hamilton, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from BayFirst Financial Corp. Before I introduce our speakers, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in meeting with BayFirst Financial Corp, please click on the Schedule Meetings tab found in the platform navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Anthony Leo, Chief Executive Officer, and Thomas Zernick, President of BayFirst Financial Corp, which trades on the NASDAQ market under the symbol BAFN. Welcome, Anthony and Thomas.
Thanks, Laura, and thank you all for joining today. We'd like to talk to you today about BayFirst Financial. We are a bank holding company based in the Tampa Bay area, and we trade on NASDAQ under the symbol BAFN. Before I begin, I'd like to refer to the slide 2, which is our cautionary statement. Please read it at your convenience, but obviously we will be making forward-looking statements today. To begin, I'd like to give a brief overview of BayFirst, and then we'll talk some specifics about what makes our bank unique. We are a Tampa Bay community bank. We have 9 banking centers, branches in the Tampa Bay area. We are opening our 10th next month and have a few more slated, one for later this year and one for next. We reached $1 billion. We crossed the $1 billion mark at March 31st. And in many ways, we are a traditional community bank, but we're also very unique and different in many other ways. So first and foremost, we have one of the largest SBA lending operations in the nation. We finished the last fiscal year as the number 8 SBA lender. Through March 31st, we were ranked number 6. We also do USDA government guaranteed lending through their BNI program. And beyond that, we are a bank that stands out in so many ways. And what I'd like to do here is just give you a snapshot of our organization. So we have our community banking division, Credit Bench, which is our government guaranteed lending division, and we are also technology driven. And technology comes in so many ways, both in terms of how we interact with our customers, as well as how we process loans and deposits, and particularly loans, because we are a very high volume SBA lender. Let me just switch, if I may, to our deposit makeup here, because I think you'll see some very unique elements of our company. See if I got the right slide here. Okay. So in the first quarter, we grew our core deposit base, excluding any wholesale deposits, by over $100 million in the first quarter alone. Our insured deposits, though, at the same time, our insured deposits are 82% of our total deposit base, and that is part and parcel of our business model, which serves individuals, families, and small businesses throughout the Tampa Bay region, and through our Credit Bench division throughout the nation. We have a very limited investment portfolio, and while there are obviously some embedded losses there, it is a very minor portion of our as a percentage of assets, or as a percentage of capital. About 3% of our capital is the embedded loss in our investment portfolio. So we look very different from many banks that have a business model that reaches a different part of the community or a particular segment of the community. We reach the entire community, and we also reach out to the underserved and unbanked in our community. We place social responsibility at a very high level, and we are a progressive organization, and not in the true sense of that word. And in terms of our products and services, in terms of our use of technology, in terms of the design of our facilities, our branches, our overall branding, and our business plan is to become the premier community bank in the Tampa Bay region. We are right now the second largest bank. Tampa Bay has as we look at it, it's essentially Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and Sarasota, combined population of 4 million, one of the most attractive markets in the nation, and we're now the second largest. But we are working to become a household name across the 4 million people who live in that market. We have unique products and services, including a 50 plus club with events and many benefits. We have a kids club with that has a mascot with a golden retriever mascot that comes to all of our events to help people get to know who we are. This organization is, as I said at the very top of the meeting, in many ways a traditional community bank, and in many ways very different. Our overall plan is to be both current and comfortable. Current in terms of how we approach the world, technology, products and services, our approach to social responsibility, on and on. But at the same time, we want to be comfortable for all throughout the community. No matter how much technology we deploy, we will always be there with personal service and make everyone in our organization feel comfortable, both our customers and our employees. We bring a diverse workforce, an energetic workforce, and a very actually young and progressive workforce that looks the type of model that the brand of community banking we bring to the table. With all that said, I'd like to turn it to Tom to talk about our SBA lending, our government guaranteed lending through Credit Bench, and our overall lending programs. Tom Zernick is president, and I'd like to introduce Tom at this point.
Hey, thank you, Tony, and good morning, and welcome to BayFirst National Bank. Tony did a nice overview of what's inside BayFirst, and I would like to just share with you a little bit about our community banking platform. We have three specific community bank regions here in the Tampa Bay area. We have the greater Tampa area up in Hillsborough County. We have our Pinellas County area here that has 5 branches. And then we have our Sarasota market. And each of those 3 marketplaces have market executives that are responsible for all things production. And we made a shift in Q4 of last year to go to a market executive org chart. And we're really starting to see the fruits of that decision to focus on accountability through our regions. And our market executives in each of those markets are responsible for the deposit growth, particularly in the transactional accounts, the checking accounts, and savings accounts. But they're also responsible for SBA production in their regions, residential mortgage lending, consumer lending, and regular conventional business lending in the Tampa Bay area. And collectively, as Tony mentioned, we grew $77 million in Q1 as a result of some strong focus on getting out in the community and building our brand name of BayFirst. We also produced some $168 million in loans in Q1. And again, we're doing this at a time when many of our competitors here in the Tampa Bay area are pulling back on lending. And we aren't faced with liquidity issues and balance sheet issues. And we're in a very fortunate position to be able to continue to lend to the good businesses around the Tampa Bay area. And while we continue to strive to be the community bank of Tampa Bay, we're also very fortunate to have a robust and what I think is best SBA division in the world right here in Tampa. We are headquartered here in St. Pete. We have approximately 100 members of our 300 employee team working in our credit bench division. And we really focus on two different platforms in the SBA world. We do a lot of small loans. We'll close some 200 loans a month in anywhere from $0 to $350,000. We also have a traditional SBA platform that does loans $350,000 to $5 million, and we have core loan officers that produce those loans for us on an ongoing basis. Last June, we launched a product called Bolt, and Bolt loans are working capital loans for businesses that need a cash injection. And those loans are done up to $150,000 and carry an 85% guarantee. So in our credit bench division that did some 385 million last year, we did 121 million in the first quarter of this year, up over significantly over Q1 of 2022 when we did 47 million. We do a lot of granular loans. And that's really our strategy here at BayFirst. We don't want to do 10, 15, and $20 million loans, even though our lending limit allows it. We have focused on small loans, granular deposit relationships, and we've positioned our bank to be in a position to continue to grow, to continue to support what we think is a strong market here in the Tampa Bay area. And we look forward to the balance of 2023 here.
Thanks, Tom. I'd like to turn back to technology and delve a little bit deeper into what sets us apart there and from what might be a typical billion-dollar community bank. And it's really on a couple of ways. But the first one I want to talk about, Tom mentioned about our Bolt Loan program, which is a very, very high volume SBA program up to $150,000. Loans up to $150,000, by the way, carry an 85% guarantee. So, very favorable from an economic perspective, but also very challenging from an operational perspective. And that's why so many banks, avoid that space, even though the SBA would like banks with it to lend more in that small space. To be able to do it, you need technology. And we have developed a loan operating system. The front end of it is actually third-party purchased and customized to us. But other than just the customer-facing piece, everything else is fully developed internally. We have a staff of developers. It is an end-to-end commercial loan operating system that integrates with the various third parties that we need for due diligence and otherwise. It integrates with our underwriting, moves on through the packaging to the closing of the loans, integrates with Laser Pro, and finally ultimately integrates to our core operating system. We add essentially cars along the train track as we continue to advance the loan operating system. And of course, it also has a customer-facing front-end piece as well. Beyond that, when we look at, for example, our deposit side, we operate as most community banks do with one of the core operating systems. In our case, it's Jack Henry. But we add on top of that, because we have developed in-house our developers a API platform, the MuleSoft API platform, which is one of the premier, where we can integrate with fintechs and other providers as a layer on top of our core to be able to offer unique services and to be able to provide services to financial technology companies. All of this, and at the same time, we also continue to look to any product or service out there or way of delivering that any other organization has to make sure that we meet we meet or exceed our customers' expectations in any element of the delivery of our services because we don't cede the field to anybody. No matter how large, how sophisticated, how complex, we don't cede the field to anybody. We believe we can compete with anybody. And right now, we are in the final stages of the rollout, which will be next month, of probably the premier online digital account opening program. Frankly, our existing one through a legacy core provider is, subpar experience. We will be able to open a regular, kind of plain vanilla account in 3 minutes or less. And at the same time, we continue to improve the in-branch experience. So all of that is more to demonstrate the culture of the company. And when I use the word progressive, I meant it in the sense that we are constantly looking for what's next. And if our tagline is here for what's next, and that makes that provides an energy within our company that attracts employees and staff who are always looking to grow with the company and to exceed expectations. I see we have a number of questions. Tom, do you have any further comments before we take questions?
No, Tony, that was really good. I think we're ready to open it up and address some of the questions.
So I'd like to, I'm going to hit a few and then ask Tom to answer a few. So one, it's really good and important question is, what's your experience with the SBA denying their guarantee? And then do we have reserves for potential denial of the guarantee? The answer to the latter is yes. But the reality is we have done thousands of SBA loans. And because we operate in the small loan space, obviously there's a higher level of default in those loans than industry averages. In our entire time as a preferred lender since 2014, so almost 10 years, we have had 2 loans where there has been a partial denial and a very modest amount in both cases. And what that does is actually it limits our ability to have very large reserves because to some extent it's based upon historical experience. But we have an extraordinary shop. And, I will let Tom comment on that piece as well. And Tom, why is it that you believe, from your perspective, that we have not seen denials or what they refer to as repairs, meaning a partial denial of the guarantee?
Yeah, well, I before I became president, I was president of our credit bench division here at the bank, and I've been involved in SBA lending now for some 35 years, and I've learned when you play in the SBA space, your biggest partner is the government, and it's all about program integrity. And when we built Credit Bench, we built it with the right process, the right oversight, the right reviews, the right quality control checks, and the right servicing area of the bank. So we have been blessed by SBA honoring all of our liquidation packages with an exception of only a few, as Tony mentioned. So with SBA, it's all about dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and we have a very experienced staff. And I think, as I mentioned in my comments earlier, I'd put our platform up against any of the other larger SBA shops in the country. We have, right now we have some 4,000, 4,500 loans with SBA, some $1 billion in outstandings. So we are a big partner with the SBA, and we do it right.
And I would like to take that particular element, the fact that we have had only 2 partial denies, very minor partial denies of guarantees, as kind of a microcosm of our company. On one hand, we are really aggressive company, growing and looking to continue to improve and advance our company, and we are more aggressive than most community banks. At the same time, we're also very focused on risk management, on in the case of SBA program integrity, internal controls, change management processes, and so forth. As a matter of fact, in the SBA division, the head of the closing department is an attorney. We actually have attorneys managing our BSA department, our compliance department, our corporate secretary, and frankly, I'm an attorney as well. So that tells you, we are on one hand very aggressive and entrepreneurial. On the other hand, we are also very understanding we live in a regulated world and the control environment is so important to us. Um, a, a question about our SBA production being in market. Tom, you probably know the statistics better than I. We are a national lender, but why don't you jump on that one and we'll go to some other
Yeah,
topic.
we lend in all 50 states, and I would tell you our production is probably about 40% in the greater Tampa Bay area. We love lending in our backyard, and we have core loan officers right here in St. Pete and in Tampa and in Sarasota to support the marketplace. So while we lend in all 50 states, we love lending right here in Tampa Bay where we can build a great deposit relationship with the customer, et cetera. So again, our goal is to continue to increase that. And in fact, last year, we were the number one SBA lender in the Tampa Bay 5-county area. Again, a statistic we're very proud of.
So the other element of the lending in Tampa Bay, the SBA lending in Tampa Bay, is it is um, uh, another way that we stand out in the market area. As Tom said, we are the number one SBA lender. So things like the Tampa publications like Tampa Bay Business Journal, show us as the number one SBA lender, and we utilize that to grow the awareness of our overall brand within the market. Which leads me to another question, which is about our branching strategy in Tampa Bay, because we are opening branches while others are closing them, and I think it's a very legitimate question to ask. Is in a world of increasing use of technology for transactions and decreasing branch transactions, a trend has been growing for the last 20 years and accelerated extraordinarily by the pandemic. Why the need to open branches? Well, we view them as marketing vehicles. And frankly, if you look at the occupancy expense of a branch relative to other marketing, it's actually really quite comparable and favorable. I mean, I often joke and say a branch depreciation is the same as one good billboard. Billboards are really quite expensive here, and they serve that purpose. We use them, though, very much as marketing vehicles. Our banking center, we refer to them as banking centers, our banking center staff has constant events at the branches, as well as on the road at every community event. We're always there, but we bring people to our branches. We have collaboration centers in all of our banking centers, where we invite in other community groups and others to use those spaces, and we also have them for events, and it could be anything from a wine tasting to a community organization to you name it. We do them at our offices. I mentioned our kids club, and we have this really friendly mascot, a big golden retriever with big floppy ears and attracts people. This is how we utilize our branches. We recognize the transactions frankly, we're happy the transactions are not in the branches. We use them as marketing vehicles to extend our a relationship with our customers and develop relationships with new customers. With regard to the specifics, and just make sure I got the question answered. With regard to the specifics, we are one of our challenges is that we are in a market that has 4 million people, and it's creating the awareness to an image of our brand is a challenge. So we strategically place our branches. We have 5 in Pinellas County, which is essentially St. Petersburg and Clearwater. We're opening up a couple more south of the bridge in our Sarasota Bradenton market, and one in a very high profile high-profile location in Sarasota. And at the same time, we are continuing to develop Tampa and what is Hillsborough County, Florida. We opened one in suburban Tampa earlier this year, and we continue to seek sites for attractive locations in Tampa as we build out what we think will be the premier banking franchise in Tampa Bay. Let me see. While we still have a few more minutes, what is your the uninsured amount of SBA loans on your balance sheet? Approximately 150 million ish. I'll have to get you the exact number though. Let me see if I have it in my fingertips. We will get you the exact number. It varies. It varies dramatically from time to time as we sell the unguaranteed piece as well. We're constantly making loans, but my recollection is at the end of the quarter it was between 150 and 175 million. Tom, do you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, I was going to say it was right under 160 million, but I don't have that statistic at my fingertip here, but it was close to the 160 number.
We do have concentration limits on the SBA as a percentage of capital Tier 1 plus allowance so that we maintain a risk profile appropriately. A number of years ago when our SBA division was outsized relative to our overall bank, I think the unguaranteed portion of SBA loans was really more of a asset quality concern. Today, it's proportionate to the overall risk of the bank, or far more proportionate, I should say. Let me just make sure I'm hitting everybody's questions here. Branch expansion strategy. Do you ever sell uninsured loans? The unguaranteed portion of SBA loans, I believe that's referring to, and the answer is yes, we do. They do sell at a discount, although we have sold them at virtually par. So very, very close to par. It depends on the collateral and the nature of the loans. So we do it for risk management primarily and liquidity as well. What are your thoughts on utilizing the buyback authorization or stock buyback authorization in light of the current valuation of the stock? Really good question. We do have a stock buyback plan, and frankly, we pick up a few here and there. There are so many limitations in the use of the buyback plan. But we do pick up some here and there. We truly believe that deploying our capital to execute on our business plan, both in terms of the growth of our community bank as well as to support our credit bench division, is the best use of our capital for the long term. Clearly, transient conditions, market conditions, are going to impact, stock price. We do hate to see what we use it for is when very small market orders that can affect a very thinly traded stock hit the market. One last thing, and we have only 2 minutes left, but I really skipped over an important piece. And it ties to our strategic plan overall. In the first quarter, our earnings were negatively impacted by the failure of Signature Bank. We sell the majority, not all, but the majority of our guaranteed portion at really strong premiums. There are a number of bidders, anytime 6, 7, 8, 9 bidders in the market for those loans. This particular first quarter, we sold them to Signature Bank. And literally the week they were about to close, the loans were to close, Signature Bank went into receivership. We had to move quickly because they suspended the transaction, and we moved quickly to find another buyer at a very difficult time that particular week. But for that, we would have experienced a significant loss. So we do have a claim with the FDIC. They have given us no indication that the claim will not be honored for the differential, which was just over $1.6 million of lost revenue due to the Signature Bank failure. But for that, our earnings would have been back on track. but it does highlight the need for our key element of our strategic plan to grow our recurring revenue by growing our community bank here in Tampa Bay. With that said, I see we are bumping up against time. Let me see if I missed any other questions. Okay. Thank you all for joining. We sure appreciate it and look forward to your interest in BayFirst Financial. Please feel free to reach out to any of us anytime.
Thank you very much.